story in the reading workshop, and the title of our story is A Barn Full of Hats. Okay, so the essential question for this week, we'll be talking about how we organize or we classify different things. Okay, so the story is about a group of animals that live on a farm, and they find different hats. Okay, so here we need to learn how to classify or categorize things. Means how can we distinguish the difference between different things. Today we will learn how to distinguish how the hats are different and what they're made of, okay, and what they can be used for. Okay, again, the essential question is how we can classify and categorize things. Read about how some farm animals sort hats. Okay, so a barn full of hats. On page 122, one day 4 farm animals found a box in the barn. They opened it up. What was inside? Hats, hats, and more hats. Look at all those hats. Who wants one? Asked Hen. I do, cried Horse. It's smart to wear a hat. A hat will keep the sun out of my eyes. Okay, as we said, a barn is a shelter where farmers keep the animals that they raise to protect them from the cold weather in winter. Okay, so one day 4 farm animals found a box inside the barn. Okay, who are the friends, or who are the farm animals? We have a horse, we have a chicken, we have a pig, and we have a cat. What did they find inside the barn? They found a box full of hats. And then Hen says, Hen is the mommy chicken, okay? So she says, look at all those hats. And she asks them, who wants a hat? So Horse says, I do. It's smart to wear a hat. A hat will keep the sun out of my eyes. So Horse says, I want a hat because he wants to keep the sun away from his eyes. All right. On page 124, Hen stuck her head in the box. She pulled out a flat, round hat. Try this hat, Hen told Horse. No, that hat is too flat, said Horse. A flat hat makes a good nest, clucked Hen. So she took the hat and she marched away. So Hen asked everyone, who wants a hat? So Horse answered and said, I want a hat, because wearing a hat will protect my eyes. So she pulled out a flat, round hat. Okay, a flat means something that doesn't have shape, and round means something that is like a circle without any edges. So she pulled out a flat, round hat. You see here? Okay, she told Horse, try this. He said, no, that is too flat. Okay, it has no shape. So what did Hen say? She said, a flat hat makes a good nest. So a flat hat would make a good nest for her. So she took the hat and marched away, or she walked away. On page 125, Pig pushed his head in the box. He pulled out a big red hat. Put on this hat, Pig told Horse. No, that hat is too red, said Horse. A red hat looks fine, grunted Pig. So he put on the hat and he marched away. Okay, what happened next? Next, Pig pulled out a bright red hat. Okay, a bright means something that is light. Okay, Pig pulled out a red hat and he gave it to Horse. He said, put this on. But Horse said, no, it's too red. So Pig said, I think a red hat looks fine. And he took the red hat and he marched away. It means he walked away. Next, Cat poked her head in the box. She pulled out a thick yarn hat. Try this hat, Cat told Horse. No, that hat is too thick, said Horse. So what happened next? Cat pulled out a thick yarn hat. Okay, we said yarn is like it's like a thick material, okay, that we use to make sweaters and heavy clothing for winter. So Cat pulled out a thick or a heavy yarn hat, and he told Horse, put this on. But Horse said, no, it's too thick. Let's see what Cat says. Thick yarn is nice, said Cat. I will take the whole hat apart so I can play with the yarn. She dragged the hat away. So many hats, but none for me, sighed Horse. Okay, so Cat said, a thick yarn is nice. She will take out the whole hat apart, means she will take out the yarn from the hat and make it into like a long string so she can play. You know that cats like to play with yarn. So the cat took the yarn hat and she walked away. So what did Horse said? He said, so many hats inside this box and none of the hat for me. None means nothing. So Horse couldn't find any hat for him. Just then, Farmer Clark came into the barn. His hat was large and floppy. If only I had that hat, said Horse. That hat will shade my eyes. Horse grabbed that hat in his teeth. Okay, so Horse was sad, and he said this big box that was full of hats, and none of the hats were good for him. Then Farmer Clark came in, and he was wearing a large or a big floppy hat. Okay, so this is Farmer Clark. He was wearing a large or a big hat, and it's floppy. That means it has long edges, and it would flop or move up and down as he walked. So Horse said, if only I had that hat. That hat will shade my eyes. Okay, so Horse liked Farmer Clark's hat because it was floppy, it was big and floppy. So the part that was coming out or from the hat would protect his eyes. So what did Horse do? Horse grabbed the hat with his teeth. He took the hat from Farmer Clark with his teeth. Farmer Clark laughed. He put the hat on Horse. It stayed on with no trouble. It fits well, Farmer Clark said. Horse trotted to the barnyard. Click, clop. He held his head high. Yes, this is the hat for me, said Horse. Okay, so when Horse pulled on Farmer Clark's hat, Farmer Clark took off his hat and put on his head. And he said, it fits you very well. And the horse trotted or walked away, and he enjoyed his hat. Okay, so here the 4 animals found different kind of hats, and each one they used and they told how each hat was different. Like hen, she took out a round and flat hat. A pig took out a bright red hat. Okay, cat took out a thick yarn hat, but none of them Horse wanted. Horse wanted a hat that would shade his eyes. So he liked Farmer Clark's hat, which was large and floppy. Why? Because the floppy part could protect him from the sun. Okay, so as we mentioned before, we took point of view. What's the meaning of point of view? The point of view is what the characters in the story thinks or feel. Okay, so when the animals found the box of hat, who was the first character that wanted a hat? Horse. Okay, so his friends tried to get him a hat for him to wear. Okay, so Horse is the first character. He thinks that it's smart to wear a hat. Why? Because the hat what is his point of view? He thinks that a hat would protect or shade his eyes from the sun. Okay, what happened next? Hen takes out a round and flat hat, but Horse doesn't think that it's a good hat for him. But hen thinks, what is hen's point of view? Hen's point of view is that the flat or round hat would be a good nest. Okay, so hen takes, her point of view is she wants to find good material for her nest. So she took the flat and round hat and because it's a good material to be for her nest. Okay, who's the next character? Next character is Cat. What does Cat like? He likes a thick yarn hat. Why? Because he wants to take the yarn apart so she can play with it. Okay, remember, the point of view is what the character thinks or feels about something. Okay, at the end of the story, what did Horse do? Horse liked Farmer Clark's hat because his point of view was that it was floppy and large and could shade his eyes, and it fit him well. Okay, so this is the chart for the character and the clue that shows you their point of view. The clue, we get it from the story. The clue is a sentence that the author writes in the story to tell us or to show us what is the character's point of view. Okay, so if we go back and talk about the genre, what would be the genre? Of course, the genre would be fantasy. What is a fantasy? Is imaginary story or a story made up by the author. Okay, how do we know that this story is fantasy? Because the events or the things that happen in the story can never happen. Why can never happen? Because animals cannot wear hats, animals cannot talk, right? They cannot discuss, and animals cannot classify. They cannot talk or tell us the difference between one hat from another. They don't know how to communicate like us. They don't know how to talk. Okay, so the things in the story can never happen in real life. It's a made-up story, and the characters here are animals that are pretending or acting to be like humans or like people. Okay, that was today's story.